welcome now to join us.
Thank you. So I guess I'm doing my introduction, right?
Well, kind of, yeah. Why not?
Okay, so first of all, I'm really happy that I'm meeting you here. I've heard so much about you. I also went to your site, and it's an honor to have you here. Thank you, Edima. What can I say? My name is Maima. Full name is Jemima Angulu. I started off as just a dancer, but I was passionate about creating dance content. So I moved on to being a choreographer and a producer as well. I run a dance studio called Crumb Studios, and through that, I use it as a platform for my productions as well as the networking programs that we have. One of the things I wrote in for this particular producers program was my theater productions. I started going into productions in 2013, and I've done 2 major productions so far, but they've been on replay. We did a Nigerian version of Greece. We called it the Nigerian Mix, with our own story, and told it the Nigerian way. So it was an adaptation. And then recently I started a production called Abuja the Musical, which was what I pitched for this producers program. And the focus for us for that program for the production is to use it as a landmark theater production that people will come and learn about the city of Abuja, the people of Abuja, and also, connect with people in Abuja. We've written songs about Abuja. We've written, about the history of Abuja through the musical. We've created various things that are connected to the city. And there are a bunch of different stories. So it's not just one story that we tell. We've told 2 stories so far, and we've had several runs of the production. Abuja is the city where I live in, and is the capital city of Nigeria. So I think it's very important that we project the city as well and help in our own way to contribute to the tourism sector and have a unique edge also as dancers. It's not just dancing, it's whole theater, singing, dancing and acting. And so far, our goal is to build it and grow it for sustainability, as well as have even the government be involved in it, since we're trying to promote the city itself. Yes, that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
That's great, thanks. And is there anything in particular you're hoping to get from this session with me today? Any particular questions or? Yeah.
Yes, I think I'd like to know more about, making more international collaborations. I would also like to build my skills for raising funds and networking, and just really also learn from your creative process, from all the stages you have to go through, and help and ensure that I refine mine for the best positioning for what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great. Well, I hope I can help.
Thank you.
David, I think you can start with your presentation. Anyone who hasn't joined us by now should watch the replay.
Sure. Yeah, okay, let's do that. And as you know, I've already set up a special page on my website, so I'm going to put it in the chat link now so you can check it out. So that's a page relating to today's event, and it's got some additional information and then links to other relevant information. And I can add to that as well. So depending on how this session goes, I can add different materials to it. But of course, you can explore my whole website. There's loads of stuff there about how to be even more successful as a creative entrepreneur. So very briefly, my job is to help and inspire creative people to use smart business techniques so that they can become even more successful in their own terms. We have to define what success is, and that's different for everybody. But my point is that we can be creative and businesslike. We can choose the right kind of, we can choose the right kind of business techniques that fit with our own values and our own objectives. So we can craft together, combine creatively, the right kind of techniques that fit with our artistic mission and our ambitions for our businesses. So I call that T-shirts and suits, which is my metaphor, T-shirts being the cool creative people, suits representing smart business thinking, and we can bring them together. And of course, T-shirts and suits is the name of my book, which is available as a free ebook. It's been translated in 14 countries into many different languages. And I'll put a link directly to the book here, just because I've mentioned it in passing. One thing I find really interesting as I travel around the world, and I've been lucky enough to visit more than 50 countries, not yet to Nigeria. So once the COVID is over, I'm hoping you'll invite me and I'll be there to do workshops, talk with you, do conferences and advice sessions. One thing I find very interesting is that when I go around the world and I meet creative people, they are superbly creative in their studios. This might be dance studios, it could be animation, it could be design, it could be publishing, music, all these different kinds of creative industries. But sometimes the same people who are highly creative in the studio, when they go into the business office, they're not so creative. It's as if somehow they switch off their brains because they think business is boring. And yeah, we have to do the accounts, we have to do the marketing, the contracts, etc. And yeah, sometimes that can be a bit boring. But my point is that we can be creative in the way that we do business. Even in the business office, we can use our creativity. Maybe it's not artistic creativity, but we can think differently about how we do contracts with people, how we listen to customers, how we do international collaborations, how we raise finance. All these business things we can do in a more creative way. So my talk today is just going to hit on a few particular techniques that we can look at. And I'm going to talk briefly about each one of them, and then we'll have a little conversation. So we've got time for me to just present a few ideas, and then we can discuss them. You can ask questions, you can disagree with me if you want. I'm always happy when people say, yes, David, but here it's different, or I found that this works. So I'm learning too. So the 4 points I want to make are, firstly, to dare to be different. I can disappear for a moment so you can see the slide. Dare to be different, listen to customers, productize your creativity, and fourthly, to create your own business formula. So I'll just talk for 5 minutes about each of those, and then we can have a conversation for 5 minutes or more about each topic. So the first one is dare to be different. What do I mean by that? Well, an artist friend of mine in England, she says, your difference is your strength. And I think that's absolutely true, because what I find is that when people in business do the same things, the problem is that you end up competing on price. So I'm thinking, for example, of graphic designers. You know, graphic designers do general graphic design, and a customer who wants some graphic design can choose from so many different people they have to compete on price because they're all the same. And it's a human need, I think, to be, we are like herd animals. We want to go with the crowd. And if everybody else is doing a particular kind of dance or art or music, we want to do that. But then we're not distinctive from each other. And the customers regard us all as the same, and they just compete on price. In other words, we're presenting ourselves as commodities, and commodities such as sugar or cocoa or petrol, it's all the same. And we just go to the cheapest petrol station or gas station because there's no real difference between the products. So in order to be able to make money and not compete on price by constantly dropping our prices, we have to be distinctive. And this links in with the business concept of your competitive advantage. In other words, what is it that you can do that other people can't do? What makes you distinctive? What's your point of difference? And in what product or service do you have an unfair advantage? In other words, how can you compete in a marketplace where lots of other people are also talented and committed and amazing and hardworking? So we have to find what's different about us in relation to other people. And interestingly, this might not be your best thing. You might say that, a particular aspect of dance is what you're strongest at. But if thousands of other people, or even 10 or a few other people in your city or town are even better than you, then you don't have competitive advantage. On the other hand, if there's something that you can do that they can't, even if you think you're not particularly brilliant at it, if they are even worse, then you're the best in the town or best in the city. So it's not just about what you're best at, it's what you're best at in relation to competition. So I think, this idea of competitive advantage is absolutely crucial in order to build a business strategy that's going to be successful in both commercial and artistic terms. And I can talk a lot more about that. There are videos on my website you can check out. And I could give you a few stories about that. But perhaps we'll just break into the conversation at this point. Maybe we'll just talk about it further, and I can respond to any comments or questions you have to talk a little bit more about how you can dare to be different, how your difference is your strength, and how you can use your competitive advantage to build a business formula and then a business strategy. So any comments so far?
I just want to say I'm already, I hope, I'm just excited already that the focus of this is about building a unique strategy for your values and your focus. So, please go ahead. No questions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can, each of us, design our own business formula. We can find, a way that is different. Instead of just copying everybody else or doing the regular thing or what you're kind of supposed to do, you can actually think hard about what you mean by success, what you really want to achieve for you, not what other people want you to achieve, but what is your definition of success. And then to understand your values and your objectives, and then to choose the business techniques that you can adapt to your own circumstances. That's where creativity comes into the business side of things. We can learn it's amazing what we can learn even from other sectors. I learned a lot from reading an article about how banks in the United States actually do their market research. And you think, what can we learn from banks in the United States? But they had a particular different way of doing market research. And I thought, that's a cool idea. I can use that in my book publishing company in Manchester, in England. So we can adapt ideas from all over the place and bring them to our own situation, and then we can build a situation, build a formula that fits us, fits our country, our customers, our values, and we can design something that's bespoke exactly to our own business. And that's a creative process in my mind. And we can use all kinds of techniques if only we are prepared to think differently. And that's the key, I think, here. Welcome to people who've just joined us, Lovette and the Dance Teachers Workshop. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments or questions about daring to be different and competitive advantage?
I missed most of today. I hope I can catch up with maybe a recording. I hope.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
We are recording, so you can look back at the recording for the earlier part. I'm going to just to recap, I'm just going to talk about 4 particular techniques that you might want to use. There's so much to say, and there's so much on my website. We could do a week of how we can be creative in business and how we can build and design our enterprises to fulfill our objectives. But in a limited amount of time, I've just chosen 4 little topics where I'm going to talk for 5 minutes and then we can discuss them. The first one was dare to be different. And then the next one is about listening to customers. And I wrote a book called Chase One Rabbit, Strategic Marketing for Business Success. It's there. It's available as an ebook for a few dollars, or as an audiobook, or as a paperback. And it contains 63 sections about marketing stuff, all for creative people, and with stories from around the world about marketing that works. And one of the sections in the book is called Don't Do Market Research. And what I mean by that isn't that we shouldn't do market research, but it's a problem with the term market research. Because if I say to you or any creative enterprises, around the world, oh, you should do market research, the immediate reaction is we can't afford to do market research, because the term market research makes us think of big, expensive projects that corporations do. And so there is a kind of reaction against the idea of market research. So instead of suggesting market research, I suggest the same thing, but using different words. And I say we should listen to customers. And that makes it much more simple, much more doable. It doesn't have to be expensive to listen to customers. We can just stop talking and keep our ears open and see what they think. We can use all kinds of simple and common sense ways to get reaction and feedback from customers. Simple questionnaires, suggestions boxes, just having a cup of coffee with a customer or a few customers and asking them what they think. So listening to customers is actually quite easy. But first of all, we've got to decide to do it. And I think that the biggest problem with market research or listening to customers isn't the techniques, it's an attitude. And if we have an arrogant attitude, we're never going to listen to customers. If we think we know everything about the business, if we think we have all the answers, if we think that customers don't have any ideas or suggestions, and they're just there to be sold to, then we're never going to listen to customers. In other words, it's a barrier, it's an arrogance that prevents us from doing it. On the other hand, if we think, yeah, we are smart in business, we are intelligent, we know our business, we've got a great team perhaps, and we know what we're doing, we're competent. But you know what? Maybe those customers out there they have other ideas that we don't have. Maybe they can look at our business in a way that we can't. Maybe we should listen to them. So primarily, first of all, it's an attitude of saying, yeah, we're good, but maybe customers can add something in terms of ideas, suggestions about products or services. So I think listening to customers is ideal and it's crucial to do. And we can do that in all kinds of ways, but primarily it's an attitude of, instead of just talking at them and selling to them constantly, of just saying, how is it going for you? What do you think so far? How could we improve? Is there anything else we can do for you? How can we make your experience more rich and more valuable? What would you pay more money for? These are just simple questions that you can have with people in formal settings or just in one-to-one conversations. And my latest article that I published on my website is regarding a business in Senegal, and the owner of the business, Sophie, she's called, and the article is there. I can put a link to it. Sophie just has simple, authentic conversations with her customers. And from that, she learns all kinds of amazing stuff, different insights, different ideas, how she can make the products and services more valuable and even charge more money. And this is by having conversations with people, not sitting down and asking them 6 questions, but by engaging with them in an authentic way, genuinely listening to them. And of course, we should only do this with our best customers, the right kind of customers, not just any old people. But our best customers can be our partners. And if only we listen to them, we can get really cool ideas from them. So that's just another little mini presentation I'm making. And I'd be interested to, hear your reaction to that. Maybe you already do that. I'm interested to know your stories about what you've learned from listening to customers, or the techniques you use to get feedback and ideas and different comments. So yeah, over to you guys. Any thoughts, comments, questions from you?
Okay, let me just start. First of all, I think listening to customers is, just like you said, is really a great technique to getting resources for creativity. Personally, I think it has also been one of my helping tools, because when I started my studio, I had an idea of what it will be. And when I started listening to the customers, I realized that, their perspective was different. And they're actually our cash cows, in the sense that they are the ones we're serving. So because of that, I decided to always just have this chit chat time without any programming. They don't need to know that I scheduled it, So after class, I just go and talk with them about themselves. Oh, how are you doing? I saw something you did the other day. And because of things like that, they also reciprocate. They say, I saw that thing. Why don't you? I was thinking. And sometimes they become informants. Maybe another client says, oh, I didn't really enjoy this, or I don't like this. Then they call me and say, you know what? Why don't you do this? I don't like that. I know you love your business. And so because of this, I didn't like hearing that. And therefore, let's do this together. Then sometimes they also form their own cohorts and do something on my behalf just to make my service better. But I've also learned to find ways of documenting them. And so I have a timeline and sometimes a target number, depending on the number of clients I have in that specific area. Once I get a demand or a feedback concerning something in a particular area, once it reaches a certain number, I know I'm doing it. So for me, it has really been a huge source of market research for me. And that also extends virtually. So even when I'm not around, everybody has access to me. I don't want to be that person that, you know, they don't have access to, and it really helps me. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Maima. And I love your description of, you call it chit chat time. I love that because I think that describes how simple this is. You know, people think, oh, market research is complicated. But if I say just have chit chat time with people, they go, oh yeah, I can do that. So it's very basic and very doable. But I think, as you've said, it's in those, shall we say, loose conversations that you learn the most. I find that sometimes I have a meeting with people and we go through the agenda, and then, but actually I learn more when we're just leaving the building and talking on the way out. You know, what you're doing at the weekend, how are things going? You looked a bit stressed in the meeting, what's going on? And then you learn all kinds of valuable information. And it's just having the time to do that. And so it works against being super efficient. Some people think to be efficient is to go, you know, to run from meeting to meeting to meeting. But actually, if we slow down, if we allow, you know, chit chat time, that's when we learn really valuable insights. And then we can use that information to guide the direction of our businesses. So, and it also, you know, can give us indications about what people are buying really. So, you know, we might think we're selling dance classes to children, but actually what we're selling, yes, we are selling that, of course, but the mums love the opportunity to bring their children to the dance class, but they also like to talk with each other because it's the only time they get to talk with other mums. And then you realize that what you're selling really is a mums gathering as much as the dance class. And if the mums gathering is what people like, you can say, well, why don't you stay a bit longer? You can buy some coffee and there's another income stream. So it's really about understanding what customers are buying really. This is a whole extra topic. I do a workshop about it. But one of my insights was when I started doing training workshops, you know, in not the virtual ones we're doing now, but the in-person ones where 20 people would come into a room. And at the end of the one-day workshops, I would look at the evaluation form and the feedback information. And to be honest, what I hoped people would say is that the best thing about the workshop today were the pearls of wisdom that dropped from the mouth of David Parrish. But you know what? They never did say that. And what they did say was the best thing about the workshop was a chance to get away from the studio and the office for a day to think about my business. The best thing was meeting other people in the creative industries and learning from them. It was nice to be able to chat with them at lunchtime over a nice lunch and learn from them and their tips and tricks. So I came to realize that what I was selling wasn't just my pearls of wisdom, my business ideas, but the gathering, you know. And so I made a point of making sure there was lots of opportunity for people to talk to each other, that there was always a nice lunch, that it was a suitable building with a calm atmosphere, because that's what people were buying really. And I only learned that by listening to people and picking up on the feedback and getting that more sophisticated understanding of what people are paying for, which isn't always just what we think we're selling. Any comments on that or anything else I've said so far? Or questions?
Well, for me, I'd just like to, I took some notes basically, and it kind of like gave me some form of confirmation, because like Maima just said something about her strategy of carrying out research, you know, chit chat, and the way it sounds so doable, you know, and that has actually even helped me right now. What notes I took, you talked about designing your own business formula, And I think that that's basically what most dance studios lack, because if someone succeeds in getting a space now, the first thing they want to do is just take all manners and all sorts of classes to generate income. And then the next thing you said is defining what success means to you. And for me too, in a small group that I coach, I'm also into fitness coaching, lifestyle fitness coaching. I told myself last year that success for me is helping 50 women actually live a healthy lifestyle, actually live a lifestyle that is balanced across all board, So it's not for me getting millions of products out there and getting more money. It's actually changing these people's lives. That is success to me. They are paying me, but I'm not getting as many, what's it called now, as many customers as every other person who is in my niche is getting. So it kind of brings clarity in terms of what we're doing in the creative space too, that we need to truly define what success is for us as creative practitioners or professionals. If not, basically, we'll be lost in the whole drama. And then you said, understand your values and decide earlier on what you want to achieve, which I still think is the problem of most dancers. They're talented. So the first thing they want to do is get on social media and share their content. They have no values. They don't really know what they want to do. They don't really know what they want to achieve. Most of them just want to have a stage to perform. They want people to notice that they can do this. But like I said earlier to you when we were discussing, that I believe that dance is more than movement. Dance is more than a showcase. There's so much we can glean out of dance if we're attentive. So I just want to thank you too. I just coined I coined something from what you just said. I wrote here, I said, what you're selling is not what you're really selling. It makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm going to start working with this. Thank you so much, David, for sharing.
You're welcome. And I've actually got a blog on my website called What Are You Selling Really? It's actually also in my book, the Chase One Rabbit marketing book, but the blog is on my website. So after this session, I will add a link from this special page that we have directly to that blog about what are you selling really, because it's got a lot more examples and information, and it's probably one of the most read of all my blogs. And I'll also put a link to the article about Sophie in Senegal, who and the article is called Customers Have the Answers, and she's the lady who has these genuine conversations and she learns so much. So yeah, it's her version of chit chat time, I suppose. So that's highly relevant to what we've said.
Thank you.
Let me move on to the next section, because I'm aware of time. We have a limit of just over an hour together. But we can come back to it. You can ask questions about previous things I've said at the end as well. The next thing is about productizing your creativity. And this is potentially a very complex one, but it's really about how we can scale up our businesses, how we can be creative entrepreneurs instead of creative laborers. And when I say creative laborer, I mean somebody who can only sell their time. And therefore, that there's a limit to time, and there's a limit therefore to what we can sell. So we're not scalable if everything we do depends only on our available time. And I'm very aware that my business is like that to a large extent. So, as you can see right now, my job is to talk about creative business, to help creative people like yourselves to be smarter with business and be more successful. And I can do that, and I love doing that by talking to people, whether it's in a session like this, or a one-to-one coaching or mentoring session, or at a conference or a workshop. But when I do that, I'm selling my labor, my time. And I can't be in more than one place at a time. So it's limited, and there are only 24 hours in a day, and I need also to sleep and to eat. So there's a limit to how much time I can sell. I can charge more for it if I get better and better. So that's a potential problem to growth for any business. I'm just using my small one-person business as an example. On the other hand, one thing that I did a few years ago was to write my first book. And the book is to sort of take everything from my head and put it into a product, which is a book, which then can be sold many, many times. Even when I'm sleeping, the books can be sold. And so this is one simple example of productizing your creativity or your knowledge. So I've put my knowledge into a product that then has value in its own right and can be sold. And in this way, we're no longer just dependent on our ability to turn up and do stuff. So even if, God forbid, I'm ill and in a hospital bed, I can still make money from my products. So, and my products are 2 books and some online courses that I've devised. And people can buy them independently of me. So how does this apply to dance? I think, there are many ways you can do this, but we're talking here about kind of franchising and licensing. And I don't know how widespread it is in Africa, but in Europe, the Zumba dance. And Zumba is a business that anybody can do under license from the Zumba company. So in other words, what Zumba have done is, instead of delivering dance classes themselves, they've given people the manual, the know-how in order to run dance classes. And they will say, this is the formula for running a dance class. This is the music you should use. This is how much you should charge. This is how you can publicize it. And in other words, people get a kind of kit to run a Zumba dance class. And of course, they pay for it. They pay a licensing fee from Zumba Corporation. And then they can run their own dance classes, and they're allowed to call it Zumba. Because the trademark of Zumba is also licensed to them, provided they work within the rules and they pay money, perhaps a percentage of their income. So how can we turn this around so that we become the Zumbas? How can we use our know-how and our creativity about dance to encourage other people to copy us, but to pay us to copy us? That's the trick. So we can do this, and it's connected to intellectual property and copyright and trademarks. So it's something to think about, and I'm sure some of you have thought about it and even done some things. It isn't, there are lots of problems and lots of challenges to it. It's not just so simple you can do it tomorrow, but it's a way of thinking. It's a different approach to say, how can I scale up by licensing my creativity to other people? How can I build my business through other people? How can I share what I've got and teach other people to be, dance teachers, or to run dance classes or dance hubs or whatever? How can I share what I've got and allow people to copy me, but in a way that I get paid? So that's basically the idea of franchising. You can license, once you've written some choreography or some music, you can then allow people to use it under license. Because you own the intellectual property, they have to pay you to use it. And of course, that's how the music industry works. And book publishing operates in the same way, that the writer retains the copyright, but gives permission for book publishers to print and sell the book. The book publishers make money, of course, but because they're doing it with the express permission of the copyright holder, the writer gets a percentage of all that income. And so they can make money while they sleep. So this is a complex area. It probably deserves another full workshop. And in some ways, it's too big a subject to mention in just 5 minutes. But I think it's just to sow the seeds and to stimulate your thinking about how you can productize your creativity. So I'll pause there and see if you've got any comments, questions, disagreements, problems, or examples of success in that area.
Okay, I'll just like to say quickly, I think it's a great topic. I also think that it will be a great opportunity for us to probably have a session on licensing for creatives. But I'd like to say that I tried exploring that aspect some years ago because I have a brand called Chrome Fitness. And then I tried to have people come for training and then license them. I noticed some of the challenges, so I agree with you that it actually comes with a whole lot of detail to it. And I decided to pace myself and ensure that the program and detail is all settled, and I plan to go back to it. But I do think that it's a wonderful strategy as well. And so I'm looking forward to licensing for creatives, probably, dealing with all that trademark issues is something I know that the creatives here need, because that's part of the process when you are building. Just like Esther said, it's very common here that people start something, see that it's great, and then other people just carry and take it without even knowing the process for it. I've also done the Zumba licensing as an instructor, so I also, in fact, one of the reasons why I did that was because I wanted to understand their process. And so I did that a couple of times as well to have their license, but I don't have it now. So I just wanted to connect the facts that it connected to my research as well, also trying another person's program, paying respect to that person's program, and looking at the dimensions in which I can add to my program that is unique to me, and then still work on my market research and strategy for products and services when it comes to my work. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Maima. That's really interesting. And I think you're right. It's a good way to learn about this stuff by taking a license from Zumba, if only to learn how their system works, to see what you're buying, to see what they're selling and how it's packaged. So that's a great little research project apart from anything else. I think it often happens as well with, if you're running a dance class, and then you have somebody else helping you, and you teach them everything you know so that they can become an instructor like you, but then they have the potential to go off and become a rival. They can set up their own dance school. So, that's one simple challenge that a lot of people face. And in a way, you can't stop them because they have the right to set up their own dance classes. But on the other hand, you can say, let's work in partnership. I will continue to teach you and to coach you, and you can even use my brand if you set up your own dance classes, but using my brand and paying me something for it, and I will give you continued support. So that would be the very simplest first step into franchising, and that's that's a kind of common sense and common situation that arises. And there are different ways of approaching it. You can say, well, I've lost that person, they're now a rival setting up rival dance classes, or can I keep them on board? Can I keep creative business models, which include giving away something for free. And that relates, by the way, to my book, T-shirts and Suits. I've already told you I give it away for free. Why do I do that? Is that a stupid thing? Well, no, because on the one hand, that's my mission to help creative people to be smart with business. And it's my gift to the world, if that doesn't sound too corny. But at the same time, it acts as my advertising. And so because the book was seen as a free ebook in Taiwan, I got a phone call from Taiwan a few years ago, and they said, David, we love your book. We want to translate it into traditional Chinese for Taiwan, and we'll pay you a licensing fee to do that. We also want to invite you to speak at a conference of designers, and we'll pay you a speaker's fee. And when you're in Taiwan, you can also run a workshop because another organization wants to pay you to do that. So the freemium business model is about giving away something for free in order to make money elsewhere. So even if you published a little booklet or an information page free of charge, sharing your knowledge, that can act as publicity, and it certainly acts as, adds to your credibility. And I joke sometimes, and it's half a joke and half not, that people invite me to conferences because I've written a book. Maybe they haven't read the book. Maybe it's a good job they haven't read the book. But the fact that I've written a book makes me seem somehow more credible as a speaker, and it helps my business. So even giving something away free as part of the freemium business model is part of how we can be creative in business. Any other comments or questions about productizing your creativity before I move on to the final section, which is about create your own business formula? Okay, I'm going to move on because I'm mindful of the time. We've only got a few more minutes, I think, but we've covered some of this already. And the idea of creating your own business formula is what we mentioned before. It's about pulling together your own values, what you want to achieve in terms of success, your own particular situation, how you can compete with rivals by understanding your competitive advantage. So the system for creating your business formula has got 3 sections. And there's actually an article on my website directly about this. I think that there's a link to it already from that special page, but I'll put a direct link here. So send that to everybody. There we are. The free article called Create Your Own Business Formula. And the first thing to do is to clearly define what you mean by success. Because some people think of success only in money terms. You will be given advice from lots of people, even if you don't ask for it, and they will be pushing you to achieve success how they think of it. But you've got to be super clear, therefore, about what you mean by success so that you can remain strong instead of being pushed by other people in the wrong direction. So defining success is the first thing. The second thing is to understand your competitive advantage. Don't do everything that everybody else does because you will just have to drop your prices. Find something that you're better at, that you can excel at in relation to the competition. This is your difference and it's your strength. This is your point of difference. This is your unfair advantage. So we need to find what we can do that other people can't and then focus on that. And the third aspect is about strategic marketing. In other words, to find the specific customers who want what you can do superbly well. Don't try to sell to everybody. Don't just blast out, posts to everybody in the hope that something will happen. Be strategic, be thoughtful. Say, this is what I'm going to major on. This is what the aspect of dance that I can do that others can't. And then, so that's the competitive advantage. And then to say, who are the particular customers who want this thing that I do superbly well. Not everybody wants it. That's okay. But who are the right kind of customers for me? And then sell to those. Focus only on the right kind of customers for you, the people who appreciate what you do, the people who need what you can do that other people can't, and the people who are prepared to pay properly for what you can uniquely do, or what is your speciality. And so the article gives more information, but that's the gist of it. That's how you can create your own business formula that works for you. And from that formula, you've got the recipe for success, and then you can do further business planning, you can do market research, you can develop your business. But the formula is the basic foundation, bringing together success in your own terms, your competitive advantage, and a strategic approach to marketing by choosing only the right customers. So that's a very short presentation about that. And I'm now towards the end of the workshop or this session today. And so I'm happy to stay as long as you've got time for me to stay, to answer any questions, to take any comments, or to have a conversation to round things off. So over to you guys.
You are free to stop.
Hello.
Thank you.
Lovette speaking. Thank you so much. I missed most of it. I'm so sorry. I have very poor network, but what you just said now about creating your own business formula is really key. We are in Nigeria. I actually stay in Lagos, and Lagos is very competitive when it comes to dance business or productions. Everybody's into it. I like what you said about franchising, but I've also realized that not everybody wants that franchising deal. That's because they feel they can go off on their own and make more. So how do we add value to franchising to make it more appealing to people who will train, and so that at least we still know that we're still in the game and we can still keep giving value? Because there's some people who just learn a little bit, they don't know so much as you probably know. You've not poured out all your knowledge into them, but yet they still go off and start off and probably make mistakes, but at least they get back on their feet and make and do better as they go along. What are the ways that we can work out franchising to be more appealing, apart from, okay, instead of you going off on your own, why don't you take an aspect of this business, use the name to grow your own meaning business? What are the things that I know people have also training, but like I said, some people just learn a little and they're fine with that. They tell you they don't need continuous training. So what else, what other value can we add that can make it more appealing to using to expanding using franchising? Yes.
Okay, it's a good question. And as I've said before, franchising can be very complex. It's there's lots of legal stuff and financial stuff in it. And we talked about Zumba, which is a good example of a very sophisticated franchise. They're very organized. It's big business. They give you a package, they give you the manual and the know-how, and you pay for it. And some people choose to do that. But I also take your point that people say, I don't want to pay all that money. I haven't got that money. I don't want to be just another Zumba person. I want to do my own thing. So that's a reality. So what can we do in the same spirit of franchising, or taking the ideas of franchising, but without it being a formal, complex franchise like Zumba? And one thing you could do is, well, in your own town or city, you've got to think about rivals, and you've got to think about your competitive advantage and how you can survive with rivals. But maybe there are people in other cities or towns who are not direct competitors, who are less experienced than you, So you can sell your experience to them. Now, it could be a complex and expensive franchise, but it could be much more simple, where you make yourself available for advice sessions to younger and less experienced dance teachers, or people who are doing similar to you, but are behind you. And they might want to take your advice. I'm sure they would if you offered it for free. But if you're prepared to give that advice, then you can charge for it. So that's a kind of, it's franchise thinking. It's not a full franchise. You don't necessarily have to sell them your trademark, or they don't have to use your name. You're just really giving advice. But the point is, it's a shift of thinking. Instead of saying, everything I know is secret, I'm going to hold it to me because people might copy. It's turning it upside down and saying, how can I use my knowledge? How can I share my knowledge with other people in a way that adds value to them? And then, because it adds value, they might be prepared to pay something. So in the first instance, you might just have one or two people who are in different cities or towns who are less experienced than you, and they want to pay a few dollars to just get some advice from you. And you can do that over Zoom or a phone call. And so that's not a big business. That's not going to revolutionize your income, but it's the start of something. And then you find that you've got 4 or 5 people who are taking advice from you. So you decide to say, well, instead of talking to them individually, why don't I run a little workshop for an hour online, and people pay a few dollars each? And I can talk about how to market dance classes, or how you can build a dance community. So then you're getting more dollars from people, because you're doing it as a little group, and it could be people from all over the world, or all over Africa, all over Nigeria, whatever is relevant. And then you say, look, I've talked about this thing so many times, and people find it interesting how I marketed my dance classes, or how I built my dance community. Why don't I make a little video of it? Then I don't have to keep saying it time and time and time again. So the video becomes a product. And then you put it on a website, and people have to pay a few dollars to access it. So now we've got a product. Now we've replicated you. We're scaling you up. Even if you're asleep, people can still watch your video. And this is the whole idea of how you can productize your knowledge and your creativity. By deliberately sharing it, you could, even if you share it for free, it builds your credibility, it builds your network. But if you share it and charge a little bit of something for it, it becomes a new income stream. So step by step, we can move towards something more complex. And that could be the way that a more sophisticated franchise develops organically, slowly, step by step. So you don't have to jump in at the deep end and come up with a rival to Zumba. You can just start by being helpful, sharing your knowledge, and because it adds value to other people, you can then ask them for some money towards it, and just learn as you go and experiment and see what happens. Is that useful to you, Lavette, or any questions or comments from anybody else about that?
Thank you. This really answers. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, David, I have a question. My network kind of took me out of the room, but I'm back.
Okay.
So when you were talking about franchising and partnership, I don't know if it's only me, but I think in Nigeria here, most of the dancers that you've worked with over time that have learned a lot from you and how you do your business and your systems and everything and how it works, that decide to want to go and start their own, they don't really want to, what's the word now? They don't really want to continue in your name. You have a fraction of like half over 10 of them would not want to go by your name because in their head they think that, I may be wrong, they think that they've learned enough to stand on their own. Do you get? So even currently, Lovett knows, I think Jemima knows. There's someone who has been working with me for 5 years. He has been very, very, in fact, he's the face of my brand. He still is. But when he was about to, before I met him, he was already earning money through dance. On his own, before I met him, he was already learning earning money through dance. But when he decided to start his own, he was thinking of a partnership. Initially, when I spoke with Jemima about this and she was trying to guide me through it. So, but my husband said the best thing to do is to let this guy go on his own instead of allowing this guy to want to work with you and all because of all the things he said. But when I went to speak with the guy said, Ma, I've been working with you for 5 years and I've been doing my thing that hasn't actually affected what we share. I really value what you're doing and I respect it. And I think I need it also in my business. But since you're not always here and I am the face of your business, I want my business to actually I want my business over the years to actually be treated with respect. That's why I want to continue to build something little for myself and build a brand for myself because I still have my personal business. And it made a lot of sense, that this guy wants to grow. He wants to aspire to do some things that I have done and he wants my support and he still wants to be part of my business, So franchising may not really work in Nigeria. I mean, in terms of like to younger dancers to want to do stuff with your name, they want to do it with their name. They want to be what you are. They feel that when they get what you have, then they can replicate what you've done. But they don't understand that it comes from personal value, it comes from a ton of experience, it comes from exposure, it comes from what we believe, So I'm just sharing this basically because I think that in Africa, you would have half over 10 people who are willing to use your brand name, and learn and, keep when they are ready to leave. I mean, when they want to actually leave and start their businesses, they will not want to use your name. They want to go and use their name and project themselves because they still don't understand that it's not about projecting. In fact, collaboration is the new gold, but they don't get that. They want to project their talent project on their own brand. So, and this is also for brands too. I know that there are brands that want to, own talent, control talent, and don't want to give them room for expression. I'm not referring to those kind of brands. I'm not referring on to. I'm talking about brands that really want a contribute. I'm really what's the word now? I'm really concerned about the development and the contributions they can give to the growing dance community. Those are the kind of brands I'm talking about. I just thought to put that out there in case there might be one or two things that anyone in the room can add or you have to say. Thank you.
Can I add something there? I think my own case is a little ironic because people have actually called to use Danceville as either open branches of Danceville or to run their own version of what they think Danceville should be. In fact, it was until the session I had with David Parrish with Multiplier Lab where he said I could actually franchise. Before then, I'd been saying no. But I think it depends on not you, but on the people you deal with. There are some people who have some, should I say, sentimental attachment to specific names and the experience they've had with that name, and they wouldn't mind running with the name if they can also shine as the owners of the name. It's my thinking. But then on the other hand, the issue now is we who own the brands. If what do we want the people going with the names to run with? Because that's my own challenge. I worry that the people who want to run Danceville may not run with the same vision I have. And I also worry about what part of Danceville do I want them to run. We do so many things at Danceville. So somebody calls, I want to open a dance studio, I want it to be Danceville. But then Danceville is more than just a dance studio. So what point, what division, what do I let them go with or open with? What do I let them keep? What's the culture I'm letting them, which is what we are trying to work on now. When people say they want to start up what we do, this is what is expected of them. The concept of franchising in Nigeria is tricky though, because like everybody's saying, everybody wants to be their own boss. But I think if we keep preaching it and if people see options of where it has succeeded, it will become more viable. It's strange because it is not popular. I mean, back in the days, there were a lot of people who were calling who wanted to open Spirit of David branches without even knowing anybody in Spirit of David, but because they were aware that Spirit of David had branches. So I think it's a noise thing, it's an information thing. The more it happens, the more popular it becomes, then the more easier it will be to happen. And then it's also up to people like us who are attending this program to try and normalize it. Because I don't know how to put it. It's doable. There's Fred Astaire studios in different states in the US. There are different dance studios that are not opened by their owners, they're opened by other people. It's just for us to come up with systems and understand both legally and passively how we can make it work, because we can't do all this thing we are doing for too long. Like David said, productizing, it's very necessary. The books, I also want to draw our attention to what David Parish has with his website. I mean, the first time I saw the site, I was like, okay, a lot of us are on social media and we are putting attention to social media. As much as social media has its benefits, if we had our own place where we collate everything that is ours, where we can be seen in one glance, I think it's more productive to us as individuals who run organizations or who run projects. It's easy for people to see us at once. But it's so much, there's so much that can be done or should be done. But like everything that has been said today boils down to simplifying our steps, simplifying how we handle the big pictures we are seeing. And I believe we'll get there with time, step by step.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is about step by step. I'm not suggesting everybody should go into franchising tomorrow. I think for most people it doesn't work, including me. And you know, you said that it wouldn't work in Africa. Well, I think that's no doubt true. But it's not just Africa. It's not just in Africa where people want to make a name for themselves. That's natural human instinct. You know, why should I use somebody else's name when I want to make my own name? So, you know, that's natural and that happens everywhere. The only reason people want to use other names like Zumba or a famous person is because it gives them credibility. It gives them an instant brand. And that's one of the aspects of franchising. But even so, even if somebody wants to build a dance studio in their own name instead of your name, you can still help them behind the scenes, you know, by selling them your manual or giving them advice behind the scenes. So this is a way where people can make their own name with their own ego and their own brand, and yet still be supported by you. So there are so many different dimensions of it. And that's all I'm suggesting, really, not the whole package necessarily. And it's also very expensive and complex legally to build the whole package. But just the idea of sharing your knowledge and helping other people in a way that benefits them, but also benefits you. So I think there are so many ways we can do that for free, for payment, publicly or privately, behind the scenes, or, you know, using a brand. There are so many different elements to it. So I don't want you to just throw away the whole idea of franchising because you don't want to do the full franchise. let's take it apart and look at the pieces of it, because certain pieces might work for you and work for other people. So, you know, let's analyze these things and be creative. And this is how we can create your own business formula, because you can say, well, I don't want other people to use my brand and they don't want to buy it anyway. But there's an aspect of franchising, such as allowing people to use my systems that I can make money from and help other people. So that might fit in with your circumstances, with your market, and with your values, and that's part of your business formula. And then you do your other stuff, and you etc. So we can take things apart almost like a kit, like a Lego kit. You know, you might not want the cathedral, but you might take a part of the cathedral and build a church or a bridge or something else. And this is how we can build our own business formula, by taking little pieces from other industries and ideas like franchising and licensing, just little parts of it, and putting them together into our own kit, which works for us. And that's where creativity comes in. We don't just have to copy lumps of other people's ideas. We can take them apart and rebuild them. And in that way, we can create our own business formula that works perfectly for us, for our customers, and for our situation. And that's probably a good place to end, because we've gone over time and I don't want to overstay my welcome. You've got other things to do. So, Adima, should we wrap it up at this point?
If everybody says they're okay, then we can. I know you have another meeting later in the afternoon. So if there are no more questions, I think everybody's good.
So let's, if there are no more questions,
Hello,
yeah,
okay,
I get on the line. I get on the line. Yeah, please, I'm trying to download your book on create your home business formula, but I'm finding it difficult to download. How can I do that, please?
From the link, I think when you get to the link, it says it's free, but if you want to make a donation to buy me a cup of coffee, you can do. But I think you just have to, but it is free. So you just have to put the price of 0 into the box.
Okay.
And then everything should follow quite neatly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So if there are no more questions, maybe we should wrap up with maybe using the chat or verbally for everybody, if you want to say something you found interesting or useful about the session today. So we can do that in words or in writing, just to get a little bit of feedback to see what was the most interesting or useful for you today.
Yes, the video will be available. We are recording. On behalf of everybody, we say thank you. I'm sure everybody, in fact, you've given us homework, everybody's going to be doing a lot of thinking. And we are hoping, yes, one of us will bring you to Nigeria soon. Let the world clear up a little.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good note to end on. I'll see you in Nigeria soon.
Yes.
As soon as we can arrange it. I'd love to come and we can do more workshops, discussions, conferences, etc., advice sessions. We'll do that. But in the meantime, I'll let you go. And until then, you lot stay safe, take care. And I wish you every success with your dance producers' businesses.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye now.
Oh, so I hope we all enjoyed that. All right, we have 30 minutes more. We've used up our break, and I want to believe we are too pumped to take a break. Do we still need a break? So we could just round up the next 30 minutes with our round table and know we are done for today. You can,
Yeah,
you
let's
have,
just wrap up.
let's just go, all right?
Yeah. Yes, please.
I'd like testimonials from all of you of things you learned and how you think what you've done in the past 2 days will help your businesses and your projects. All right, I'm putting the link to yesterday's video. The video of yesterday's session, I put in the chat for those of us who were not there and those of us who want a replay. All right, so I've just put that up so you could watch, download, question, and also send any comments you'd like us to know about what we are doing here. So the topic for today's roundtable, like I said, we are all pros. All of us have been doing what we've been doing for years. And so it doesn't make sense to gather and not pick from each other. So the roundtable is a platform for us to just discuss on certain issues from our own point of view, what we think on the topic that had been selected. So today we'll be talking about dance systems, what works and what doesn't. And also highlight the sense of, do we think we do have dance systems? Do we have systems we are running on? Do we have systems we have observed? Do we have systems that we think are obsolete? But generally systems, what are we operating with? And what part of what we do is working? Or what part of what we do is useless? So I can start off if anybody else wants to say something, you could just chip in. Well, when I started Danceville some years back, I thought there were no systems. I thought there were no dance systems. But then I found out after some years that the cultural sector actually had a mode of operation that all of them were using. Consciously or unconsciously, they're taking children when they are not young, very young, train, the children grow within their sector. The period of the training, the children don't get paid exactly. And then they get to a certain age and then the parents start receiving money. And then they start traveling and then they grow out of the system. And then those who want to start their own teams after they've grown out of the system go around and pick another set of children. At least the cultural sector in Uyo, so that's what they do. So we in the, should I say, the contemporary sector, with the dance crews and the dance companies, kept on thinking there was something we needed to build from scratch without identifying that there was already something going on at the other levels. So in trying to build from scratch, we kind of like scattered what was already in place. Is everybody, okay, I think we are losing some people. All right, some people are already in, things that were already in place. And very recently, we are now trying to marry both systems, where even though people start dancing as children, when they get to a certain age, there should be somewhere else they should go to, as opposed to dropping out of the sector entirely. Because like 80% of them stop dancing after 13. Then just the few that remain that now become leaders who in turn go back and look for children. So for me, I think that system for them kind of worked because it produced the likes of Udo Mariam and the girls that danced with him. But the parts of it that had a challenge that while they were dancing, they weren't learning anything else. So you find those who succeeded in that sector unable to confidently read and write because that's all they did was dance. So they weren't mostly in school. It's just one system I've noticed. Love it. Hello, am I online?
Yes, you're online. What I was
Yeah.
listening to you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I know you were with SPAN, and SPAN also had its own way of operating.
Yes. Yeah, but basically for SPAN, over when I was still with SPAN, we had we experimented different systems. We experimented. It was never a one size thing for a long time. So I know while we were there, we have about we changed the systems up about like 3 or 4 times. So trying to find what works. And I think SPAN still uses that up to date, but I don't know how effective it is, Okay, so at the beginning, we had Sarah, we had Pastor Shags, basically running stuff, and then basically running everything. And the rest of us were just trying to fit in anywhere we were expected to fit in. And then after a while, we had the structure with Mrs. B, and then there was like someone who ran the admin, who ran the admin for about 2 years or something like that, or a bit more. And then we had instructors, and basically that was what it was for a while. And then when I came in, we had almost the same thing. Then we now had to separate head of admin for dance, head of education for dance, because we were running the training school. So, but I doubled as head of admin for dance and then for the schools, so that we could have an eye there. And that worked. And then we had contract staff and people who were permanent staff. But then we experimented over the years, and then Shegun came on board, and then another flow of systems started again. Then we had Mrs. B, we had the board of directors, then we had Shegun, who was like the manager, and then we now broke down admin into several units, where we had head of dance, we had the business manager, we had head of operations. So they were just there. Then there was, after a while, we broke it down further again. We had head of presenting house, head of schools, head of the academy, head of technical. So it was just head of drama, because we now, Helen O'Grady Drama, we now put the franchise of Helen O'Grady Drama Academy from South Africa. So we had that, and so we had several things. And because SPAN was presenting other artists, that's why we had the head of presenting house. And we had some programs that concentrated on presenting. So we used to have stargazing. Then we had some sort of program we used to have every Friday night, every week. Then it became twice a month. I mean, I'm just trying to remember. This was like donkey years ago, maybe about 10 years ago. So I can't probably remember everything in detail. But I mean, those systems ran up until when I left SPAN. But yeah, so we kept on experimenting, and I guess that happened because it wasn't a one-size-fits-all, and then SPAN was evolving as well, evolving into different things. And then just at the tail end, we had the music department start up as well. So it further broke down. So there was the drama academy, there was the music academy, there was the dance academy, and all this had their own mini, what would I call that? Mini offices in a way, yeah. So you had the teachers, but you had admin, but then there was still one central admin that worked on every aspect of it as well, that people had to report to a certain person who was like the head of operations, really, so that there was a smooth flow with the academy and with teaching. But dance was still the widest, because it was teaching in schools, teaching the academy, performances. So it further broke down again. Dance further broke down again into those things. So it wasn't just about schools now. It was about the training academy. It was about teaching at schools. It was about performances, etc. I mean, the costume department was still part of it, and that was under the technical. I mean, it became, so it grew as the idea, or as the arts expanded. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. So what are you working with now?
Yeah,
I know you're
so
with...
that's what, I hope I'm still online.
You're still
Am I
alive.
still on call? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah. You know, I know you're
Okay.
with Lovett Beats
that
now.
was-
What system are you working with?
Okay, so with Lovett Beats now, it's a lot smaller because yeah, we still have we're still going to have our training academy as time goes on. But for now, what we operate on is the very small aspect of where Span was at the beginning. That's what we still use till now. So we still have admin, but then it's totally different for us here now. So in Lovers Beats, the structure is definitely Lovette at the beginning, who is the artistic director and creative director. Then we have different aspects. Then we have head of schools, but not really head of schools, but it's more like we have head of training, but if we're not training anyone, we train our teachers so that we can have some sort of excellence that we produce in all our schools. Then there's somebody who is head of teachers, who makes sure that the teachers are managed properly. So it's not their training now, it's the welfare of the teachers. It's also the making sure that teachers are in school. So I use the head of teachers, but just like a police for the teachers, someone who manages the teachers and making sure that we still have teachers in class, we still have etc. Everything just running. Then we have somebody who is head of what's that called now? The name escapes me. But if I want to use a more broad term, someone who is like head of excellence, making sure that every work we produce with the dance classes and presentations is top notch. It's not anyhow, if you understand what I mean. There is some sort of excellence that
Hello, Lovett. We've lost you there.
we have head of different aspects. So there is head of the drama academy, because we do a bit of drama in schools, especially with productions. There's head of creative dance and hip hop. There is head of the ballet teachers. So those are also ballet under teachers who manage, heads who manage these teachers. So there is a broad head of teachers, but there's somebody who also manages each aspect. So it's your area of specialization. It's not just one person managing everybody. So we have people who manage the teachers under each specific aspect. Yes, that's what we have for now, if I do remember. Yes. So like I said, it's just taking a little aspect of what we had in Span, and because that's what we do, because we do productions in school. So we just have to marry a little bit of here and there from what the broad category in Span is. Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else want to share how they run their own platforms, a system they are working with, system they would like to change, or a system they would like to adapt? Esther.
My dear, this network wants to rubbish my day today. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I had to go and find one corner inside my house, praying in tongues that the lights will not, the network will not just disappear. Oh, wow. Okay, so I don't know. I missed a couple of things. God help me. I think there's a resource I had finished writing, but couldn't complete because 2020 was quite a year, and I wasn't mentally fit to continue. I've spoken to Jemima about it. I think Jemima, Lovett, and you were aware of the book I was writing. But I noticed that this book is not just, when we hear health, we think it's about hospital checkups, visits. We don't understand our health is connected to even our purpose, why we do what we do. So, like David said, I was planning to give out this book for free, but I realized that I'll be doing myself a disservice, even if it's just 1K, like a token, because it cost a whole lot to put it together. I'm going to be willing to do it for 1K. But the challenge with that 1K thing is that it's not for profit. So why I'm saying this is because I see that most of our problems as dancers or professionals stems from our mind. And fitness or healthy living or balance in your business or balance in your social life or balance in any sphere of your life starts from your mind. So I think that my contribution today will be just packaging that thing, and I'll let everybody here, maybe you can give me emails of everybody here to have it first, because as I was writing that thing, it began to shape my perspective. And imagine if you gift that to your community, that they should read this. It will help us, because you can always say that everybody that is doing dance now, oh, company systems, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, but whatever I've said is still relevant. I'm sorry. But where I was going to in terms of I'm so sorry, everyone. Please pardon me.
Well, we are already keying into your book. People are dropping emails for you, so carry on.
I'm so sorry. Okay, for me, systems. I think I learned that from Jemima. I am the system.
Okay.
Yeah, healthy systems. I am the system of my business. None of my dancers want to learn. I want to teach them. I want to teach them how to do bookkeeping. I want to teach them how to speak with the client, because I want them to grow. But they are like, Mama, that's your work. We are here. Let's just do the dancing work. But basically for me, I have designed the kind of, I think I designed the kind of services I want to. I don't know if this is going to help, but this is useful. I have designed my services or my classes in services. How do I put this in English? I have designed the things that I prefer solution in what's it called?
A
Now the
business
English now be the
canvas.
problem now. Idea. Just know that it's more like
You have a plan.
tailor-made solutions. That's the word. So there's dance for fitness for me. There's dance for schools. I don't know if this works for what you're talking about. Though. Please let me know if it's wrong.
Yeah.
There's dance for schools. There's dance advocacy. Okay. There's dance collaboration. There's dance project. So for me, I've told myself these are the pillars that I'm going to be focusing on. So channels, basically, what are the channels I want to use to achieve this? Is probably social media, probably reaching out to organizations. I think so. For me, I don't know if I am on track, but company systems, I'm learning from Jemima. My strategy is basically deciding how I want to communicate dance and creating systems that flow with how I want. I don't care how the world is communicating dance. It is how best I can communicate, and then finding the audience that needs my services. This is what has worked for me here in this my remote town called Calabar. When people call INSs, they know that they cannot call me and I'm talking 2,000, 5,000. They cannot even tell me that kind of thing, because I write a lot. I write intelligently about dance. So that when you read it, you're like, wow, wow, wow. And you mean, yes, this is what we do. It's not just to come and shake our body and go. So basically, I think that's how mine works. I'm still learning how we just acquired a small dance studio after our own got burnt. So I'm the kind of person that believes in thoroughly designing before you start work. So that someone will just come and be talking anyhow nonsense. Meanwhile, my guys believe that, Mama, we don't get studio now. Let's just start dancing. Don't worry, they'll come. I don't believe in just doing things. I believe in taking 10 years to plan and getting it right. So with the way the world is going now, I'm done with physical classes. In my head, I'm planning with virtual classes. I'm planning even my services virtually. So if I have a personal opportunity, like I just joined a fellowship called Arts in Medicine Fellowship, I was part of the cohort. I know I cannot dance physically anymore because of my health. What did I do? I gave my idea and slotted my guy's name, Ines, the name inside. My guys performed on a global stage via Zoom. And then they called my guys again. Please, you guys, what you people do? We had fun. Oh. I was jumping around the camera. We had so much fun, but they loved it. These guys loved it. And they asked us again. They put me in the group by force. They want to serious thing with it. This joke, we were just joking. We're not even serious. No be choreography. For the leader, just fun. And they called us back for that thing. So for me, I began to see that these opportunities have begun to shape my perception about dance beyond social media, beyond the work as we move up and down that has to do with dance. I'm thinking global, I'm thinking value, I'm thinking not just exporting African talent out, I'm thinking about showcasing it from here, basically. So that's basically how mine is evolving. I'm thinking about showcasing the African talent, not just Nigerian, the African talent, because they are equally struggling like we are in terms of how to verbalize what they do. So recently, I've delved into that. In talking about systems, I've delved into that, into how to help dance professionals communicate their value. Even dance studios, communicate your value, because that's where that's where your systems come from. If you can't clearly communicate why First Bank should partner with your organization, then you don't have anything to offer. So that's what I've noticed. These are the gaps I've noticed in our industry. And me, I'm all about filling gaps. I'm all about problem solving. And that's what basically forms my model, and I keep redesigning until everything just sinks in. So that's what it is. I don't know if I veered off again. I also have a way of veering off and coming back.
Okay. Tian, you've not said anything today. Are you still with us? Tian and Babalola. I know Babalola runs a gospel group. Right, I'm right, Abby? The Gospel of Dance.
Yes, ma'am.
Who does Gospel of Dance? Is Babalola, right?
Hi.
Hello, Tian, you're the one who does Gospel of Dance.
Hello.
At least one of two of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I don't know, sir. I'm not like the gospel dance.
Okay, Gospel of Dance. Okay, so
Hello?
how do you operate? Yes. What do you run? How do your leadership structure, your mode of taking people, how do you hire? How do you get people involved? How do you put your work out?
Yeah, for now, we just started it. So this retreat now, I just opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I've been writing things. That's why I refuse to say a word. I'm just writing, I'm just reading my book. So that if I go back with my team, we sit down and talk and re-strategize our work for this year. Actually, most of these things we're not aware. I'm from the north. We're in the northern part of Nigeria, the northeast, for that matter. And here, dance is not something they value. So we're trying to create add value from it. Well, just last year, we started going out for event, workshop, and seminar. All this while, people do not actually value dance. They assume any person that is dancing is a bad person. So, and for us to get into their head, we need to keep working. But for knowing this structure today, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write out the value for dance, just like Mama Esther just said she opened my eyes to a lot of things. I've been writing what to say. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write many things. I'm going to write up proposals to some companies, to schools, to tell them what dance can do for them. To talk about the dance of fitness among our dance project. And that, I think that's what I will start using. Because yes, there's nothing like fitness. They don't even do fitness. So the notes were far behind. So Ma, thank you so much for this retreat. I think I'm glad I participated in this retreat. It has opened my eyes to a lot of things. That's just what I want to say. Thank you.
Idong, you've been quiet. Do you have anything to say? Because really the idea is to learn from each other. So at least what Esther talked about, she wasn't even sure if she was talking about the right thing, but everything she said has inspired at least me and other people to do other things. We're learning from each other. So don't be afraid to say something. All right. Idong, do you have anything to say? I believe in subsequent editions, our roundtable will be a lot more fluid. Everybody should come equipped. She's smiling in the chat. Everybody should come equipped with something to talk about. But then I've been promising that we'll be closing at 12 noon. We won't take too much of our time because I know we are all very busy people. And I strongly believe that the purpose for why we held this retreat is fulfilling itself. Tomorrow, we don't have guest speakers tomorrow, but we'll share a plan on how we can use everything we have learned clearly. Tomorrow's session won't last long, max an hour, and then feedback. I'd also really like us to send messages on things you've learned and feedback on this program so that we could also share to people who did not attend eventually. The video will be on YouTube as well. I'll send the link to everybody and I'll also share it tomorrow after I've converted it. But I hope we all, I know we all had fun. Yeah, I know we all had fun. Does anybody have anything else to add before we round up? 5 minutes away, 5 minutes away. I don't know why I kept postponing this thing. I've been postponing for almost 2 years now. I don't know why I thought it would be so hard to do. So anything?
Thank you, Edima. I mean, it's enlightening. Thank you so much. And honestly, I wish I today, but Wednesdays are usually what I call the beach days, the days where everything just comes down. I mean, like everything. But I've learned a lot, and I wish I really came at the beginning. So I'm looking forward to watching the videos and really collaborating with more people. You know, you're my girl. I always come to you for advice. Esther too, Mima too, the people I disturb with all my issues. And I honestly am still thinking about if we can have maybe like a Telegram group and even post the videos there on the group there.
Okay.
That would also help it to be easy for everyone to always have something to go back to. So you just know that there's a support group or a support system, where we can always fall back on, learn from each other. I mean, as many as everybody's here. I'm seriously, because we all may eventually have projects. I have a project in my head that I want to try to start putting together. And we can always have a support group where we can ask questions and see how best to go about it. The problem we have in our industry is that we're very disconnected. Yeah. We're very, very disconnected. Everybody's trying to do their thing and outdo the next person, or if not outdoing the next person, but trying to get it done themselves. Like Esther said, collaboration is the biggest key. I know that last year, if I probably didn't have Esther in my life last year as a support system, I probably wouldn't have done as much as I did last year. And everybody kept, and this year I've not done anything. I've just wanted to take it one day at a time. Nobody has seen me on social media. I've not done anything at all. I've been very quiet, and that's because I'm trying to wrap my head around a lot of things. honestly trying to wrap my head around a lot of things. And so maybe that support group will be good. I know Mima started something close to that at the beginning of the year. We had one edition. I don't know if there has been another one because I was offline for a couple of weeks. But I'm thinking moving forward, people can always drop nuggets, drop relevant stuff, because that's what the group is for. It's not saying, oh, they're fighting in Shomolu. Please be careful. It's more about things that can help our industry grow, as other people mentor us and we mentor other people, so that there is a community to always fall back on. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, about the Telegram group, work on it. Actually, there's supposed to be more of us. There are 3 people who didn't make it at all. They didn't come yesterday, they didn't come today. I'm hoping they'll make it tomorrow, but I'll still send them emails with links to the videos and a link to the group when I set it up. Well, thank you all for today. I'm really honored that we all turned up, took time from our day to join these meetings. And I'm hoping we'll see results as we go on. So this is the first of 3. As we go on in June, I think the next session is in June. I'm still going to reach out to more people who can uplift us further from where we will be at that time. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Edima.
Thank you, Edima. Thank God it took you 2 years to do it. Don't let it take you another 2 years in the next one. A lot of people have already died in 2 years.
Can you imagine?
That have benefited from your ministries. So please, that's why I'm supporting this Telegram group. Oh. Please, let's not play with this thing. Oh.
Okay.
Please, as Robert has said, just create the group. Edima, stop trying to say, all right, do it. Oh.
All right. Tiyang, Babalola, Idol, Martins, Love it, Esther, you guys, thank you so much. Mama had to leave.
Hello. Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, thank you too.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
So tomorrow come with questions, plans, suggestion, inspiration notes, everything. We'll just be
Can the question be out of what we discuss? General questions that bothers us about that?
It can be anything.
Okay.
Like Esther said, the plan is to support
no problem.
To the best of our ability. If we don't have the answers, we'll go and find who has the answer and bring the person.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.